like to extend my salutations to the Imam of our time as if he is present, as if he is amongst us, as if he is watching, as if he is witnessing, as if he is observing, as if he is never neglectful, never forgetful of each and every one of us sat in this room. I'd like to extend my salutations to him as if he has prayed for the success of this event, for the prosperity of every individual, and in particular, the organizers who have put together an event in honor of his grandfather, the King of Khorasan, and indeed also their grandfather, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. It's become increasingly apparent over the past few decades that an extensive amount of research has been conducted in order to further understand the Muslim mentality, the Muslim vision, the Muslim implementation of social practices and the Islamic conduct. Interest in the Muslim mentality and the Muslim mindset has spread across the world, originating from the United States of America to Europe, to institutes that have started in Lebanon, in Beirut, across the Middle East, in North Africa and South Asia, simply to understand the mindset between people like you and I, or like the people back home, our grandfathers, our families, our cousins who are in lands like Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. This effort that is being conducted is purely to understand how our mentality behind the Muslim identity works. Why is it that so many people around the world, more than 1 billion people around the world, are so committed to this universal identity of being a Muslim? Despite being from North Africa or Pakistan or Iran, everybody clings to this identity of being a Muslim first and foremost. It unites people from every corner of the globe. And therefore it has intrigued academics, it has intrigued social scientists, and it has intrigued researchers from every corner of this globe as to what the reason behind this commitment is. And in light of this, since the 1970s particularly, a particular interest has grown in one particular aspect of the religion. So when you talk about research polls, they often say that the intellect of a person is seen from the questions that are posed and the questions that they ask towards an individual. So the certain questions that come about in regards to the Muslim mentality are as such. What is your opinion of the Sharia? What is your opinion of fundamental Islam? What is your opinion of the death penalty? What is your opinion of domestic and social affairs? What is your opinion in regards to divorce and marriage, forced marriages, gender equality? These are all issues that come part of the Muslim identity. But in one particular aspect that is being highlighted and emphasized time and time again, and programs for the United Nations have been dedicated in order to enhance this particular aspect of the religion, it's the role of women that has been emphasized time and time again. But the sad thing is this, that when you look at the role of women within the religion of Islam and how it has been depicted and constricted in today's environment and society, you'll realize once again by the questions that are being posed in these research polls as to what it is they're trying to understand of the Muslim mindset. In regards to females, the following 4 questions are posed. Number 1, what is your opinion on the forced veil? Number 2, what is your opinion on forced marriages? Number 3, what is your opinion on obeying your husband? And number 4, what is your opinion on your inheritance rights? When these particular questions are being highlighted time and time again, it gives you an idea as to what people perceive as a Muslim woman to be in the societies we're living today. And research polls that are extending across Europe today also are of a similar fashion. Does a Muslim woman consider herself oppressed? Do other people consider a Muslim woman oppressed? How is she integrating? Is her hijab a barrier for her to be a part of Western society? And therefore, the sad thing is that before I begin my actual content of the speech is highlighting this main point. This research points to 2 main points. Number 1, the global context in which Islam is being analyzed, and from the eyes which are actually analyzing the very contents of our religion. The eyes that are trying to understand what makes us who we are. Therefore, there's a certain pride to this. You and I have a certain pride to understanding our own identity and understanding that people across the world are interested in what makes you and I, us. Therefore, to sit and contemplate upon what makes you and I us, what defines me as a Muslim living in the West today, is crucial for our own enhancement and sustainability as a community in the future. And number two, it points to the fact that a Muslim woman and the males within the religion of Islam have a particular interest in understanding the role of a woman. If people who are non-Muslim are trying to understand why is this identity so central to the religion of Islam, it means that you and I have a bigger responsibility. The role of a woman is something that 1400 years later, half of this room is sat today in North London, Northwest London, in Willesden Green, and I'm standing here on a pulpit speaking the English language, wearing a hijab and speaking of what my visions and my views are in regards to this topic. That in itself shows you how far the religion of Islam has extended. The emphasis of this religion, the way it makes people question. And therefore, to begin this speech, when we say that what is the role of women in the societies we're living in light of personalities that we follow in the religion of Islam, the global context which we're looking at is crucial. Because you and I are bigger than just you and I, just the communities we're in, just the family structures we're in, and just the societies we're in. We're part of a globalized unit. And Islam emphasizes this by saying, seek knowledge as far as China, or by mentioning a surah in the Quran that is named after Rome. These are aspects of the religion that emphasize time and time again, our religion is not limited to just you and I. Therefore, in this speech today, I've been asked to discuss the role of women in light of Lady Fatima Ma'suma, the sister of the 8th Imam. Now, the role of women is something that goes back time and time again to the very essence of the religion. And in order to understand this, we have to understand the role models that Islam has put forward to us as individuals to take example from. Why is this crucial? Because when we're trying to understand our roles as females, and we're trying to understand how to attain honor in our lives as females, then Allah has already ordained that to us through the moral absolutes He's given to us. Many people put forward the argument that, Islam, it came to free the female. And do you know why? Because before Islam, in the time of ignorance, women were buried alive, daughters were buried alive. Islam didn't limit women because it stopped this practice. But I'd like to argue something else, that in place of stopping practices that were ignorant, Islam also gave a replacement for these practices. And the replacement of these practices was only demonstrated, and only the epitome of these practices was demonstrated by those very role models that Islam puts forward. Therefore, in the place of the burial of females in a time of ignorance, which literally, metaphorically, also illustrates how women's education and women's involvement within society was limited, then we must look at the replacement that Islam gives. Islam doesn't just say that, stop this practice, that's it, we're done, well done, we achieved something. Islam is a religion of perfection. Therefore, in that place, it shows you how to attain perfection, and that perfection was given by Lady Khadija and Lady Fatima Zahra. The importance of these role models is pivotal, and why? Because when we say that the Prophet of Islam came with the world's greatest mission on his shoulders, and the greatest burden that he carried on his shoulders, he did so with two main pillars. One pillar was Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the other pillar, Lady Khadija. When we look at Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he himself had pillars. One pillar was entirely his wife, Lady Fatima Zahra. The other pillar were his companions and his family members. When you look at Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he had two main pillars. One was Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam, and on the other hand, Lady Zainab. When you look at the king of Khorasan, when he is exiled to the land of Khorasan, he has two main pillars. He writes a letter back to the people in Medina, and he says, send one caravan with Lady Fatima Ma'suma, and the other caravan with my companions and my family members. In essence, Islam is teaching us that whenever a religion is given, or whenever a revelation is given to the people, or a revolution is about to happen, one shoulder of the revolution is literally on the shoulders of a female, and the other shoulder of the revolution is on the male, because each has its parts. And while we're in this civilization that is claiming that Islam is a clash of civilization with the West, for example, we claim otherwise. Islam indeed gives the female her rights, but it gives her rights in regards to her roles as an equal human being, but in regards to a social aspect where she has the responsibility to actually propagate towards the people. And therefore we find within the role models of the religion of Islam, you find powerhouses in Lady Khadija, and you find a powerhouse in Lady Fatima, and you find a powerhouse in Lady Zainab, and indeed a powerhouse in Lady Fatima Ma'suma. These women, they made stances that were indeed metaphorical in their lifetimes. So when the stance was made against the usurpation of Fadak, it was mainly a stance to refer to the fact that Lady Fatima does not tolerate the injustice of the usurpation of her religion while she is alive. She does not tolerate injustice while she is alive. She does not tolerate social disparity while she is alive. She does not tolerate people to usurp the right of her family while she is alive, the right of truth, moreover. And therefore, when we look at these principles, we realize that these women weren't only just the shoulders of the religion, but they carried forth the revolutions of these religion. They carried forth the messages to these religion. And indeed, what you and I have today is the result of the shoulder of Lady Khadija, Lady Fatima, Lady Zainab, Lady Fatima Ma'suma, and all of the females of the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam indeed. When people look at the life of Lady Fatima Ma'suma, it's really quite tragic, but a lot of people visit her shrine in Qom. And what we know of the city of Qom today is that a lot of our scholars are educated in the Islamic seminary. People spend years of their lives just researching, understanding the religion of Islam, coming to terms with the knowledge and the vast amount of knowledge we've been given. But Lady Fatima Ma'suma is that woman with whom this entire city of knowledge is based around. And I swear to you that this lady, it's not a coincidence that there's one city of knowledge in the name of Amir al-Mu'mineen and one city of knowledge in her name. This lady has a crucial role to play in the religion of Islam for anybody living in the time that we are living in. Because she has a very distinct role compared to the other female role models of the Ahlul Bayt. She has a very distinct role compared to anybody who's come before her. Why? Because Lady Fatima Ma'suma lived a very unique life. When she was young, she went through similar patterns. She was orphaned. She lost her parents. She lost her mother. She lost her father, Imam Musa al-Kadhim. Indeed, she was very much attached to these family members. But this attachment never stopped her education in the religion of Islam. We have narrations when she was at the age of 6 years old only. Lady Fatima Ma'suma was sat in her house. A caravan came from Medina. These people came to get an answer from the 7th Imam in regards to their questions. These people had traveled from far to visit the Imam of their time, from very far. When the Imam returns, these people tell him, you know what, these people came to see you, but you weren't around. The Imam turns to them and he says, it seems as if their questions have already been answered. People turn to the Imam and they say, how is it possible? The Imam goes through the questions and he says, may my life be sacrificed for my daughter Fatima Ma'suma. And let me tell you something, this lady was not called Ma'suma in her lifetime. This lady was called Fatima in her lifetime, Fatima al-Kubra by some. It was only in her death that the 8th Imam turns to this lady, turns in the direction of her death and her burial, and he says to you, may my life be sacrificed to you. Verily, truly you are Ma'suma. Meaning what? She attained a status of piety, of spiritual excellence, of perfection in her lifetime, which resonated in her death. And there's one line of this ziyarah of Bibi Fatima Ma'suma, and there's one very distinct aspect of her ziyarah, and it's this, that when you visit her and you read her ziyarah, you're actually reading the words of an infallible to an infallible. The words of the 8th Imam specifically to Lady Fatima Ma'suma. And the words are seriously astounding. What the words actually depict of this lady, to understand that the Imam of your time has spoken about a woman in this way, it makes you realize how much of a role model she is. These words will shake anybody who's paying attention. These words are literally saying that my life as an Imam of your time, my life as a hujjah over you, may my life be sacrificed for you, for your sacrifices for me. This mentality depicts entirely what the role of a woman today is. When you are that support system to the Imam of your time, which basically means your community, your society, your family, when you are educated to the extent where you can send away pilgrims and stamp it with your name, Fatima Masuma, answered these questions at the age of 6. These are fiqh questions, ilm questions. Then that's what you call the success of a female. That's what you call what Islam defined as the role of a female, as opposed to, are you forced to wear that veil on your head? Sorry, is it halal how you're wearing that thing on your head? Do you shower in that thing in your head? This isn't how Islam was depicting the role of a female. It's so much more than that. And really, Lady Fatima Masuma teaches us. In this one line that Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam says to her, in his ziyarat, he says, "Peace be upon you, and my Lord, please never deprive me of understanding the status of this woman in my life. Because truly this woman on the Day of Judgment is an intercessor for every one of my followers, and he who visits her in my death is like he who visits me in my death. And the reward of the one who visits me in my death is as if he died as a martyr in the Battle of Badr." This is the role of this female in the life of Ali Muhammad and in continuing the legacy of the Prophet's family. And there's one aspect of Lady Fatima Masuma that really hits home for us today. We're living in a time of occultation, and we're living in a time of separation, and we're living in a time where we do not see the Imam of our time. And truly that's because of our own deeds. And we're told time and time again that if we were to fix ourselves, our spiritual mentalities, our spiritual cleansing of the self, and then adapted that into the social revolutions that we need to depict and actually implement in our lives, the social movements such as the event that we're doing today, such as the females who are running this event today, then really would understand what it means to be a female who is ready and understanding of her mission. Lady Fatima Masuma is that woman who, when the people of the time, the government of the time came to the door of Imam al-Ridha, they knock at his door. They say to Imam al-Ridha, "You know what, we've come here to loot your family. We've come here to loot their possessions. The women of your time, we want them to remove their jewelry, tell them to give their clothes, tell them to give their possessions. It's over, it's done." The Imam has a shyness in his face. How can you as a man turn to your family members and say to them, "Give me your possessions"? It's your honor, it's your ghairah. The Imam comes inside the house. Lady Fatima Masuma looks at the Imam, and when she looks at him, she understands immediately. This is what it means to understand the role of a female. That you don't need to necessarily have the Imam tell you that, "You know what, do this. This will make me happy. You know what, just pay attention a little." She realizes by looking at the face of her Imam, you know what, there's something is bothering him. So she stands up, she removes the earrings of her ears, she removes the garments that were known in the house to be prestigious, and she hands them to the Imam of her time. The Fatimas of the house are all sat in the house of Imam al-Ridha at this time. And they all look at Lady Fatima Masuma and they stand up and they do exactly the same thing. What is this demonstrating? It's demonstrating the ability to act and move when someone understands that this is my mission now. When it comes to the Imam of my time, there is no sacrifice that is too great. There is no commitment or dedication that is too great for me to make. And therefore, this is only one example. When the Imam of her time is exiled to the land of Khorasan, Lady Fatima Masuma does not stop her mission. And this is exactly what is crucial for you and I. That even though the Imam is absent, and even though we are not able to see him, and even though he is not in front of our eyes, it doesn't stop our mission as females. It doesn't stop our ability to educate ourselves. It doesn't stop our ability to be social revolutionists and movements. Women are inherently the educators of society. Why? Because the morality of the system of Islam lies in the female. The morality of a mother goes to her children. The morality of the children goes to the community. The morality of the community goes to society. Society makes this globalized unit that we have as Islam today, which is exactly why today, in the 21st century, the Muslim identity is something that is unbreakable. Because this structure that Islam has put in place, this structure of rights, this structure of roles, this structure of embracing your roles as a female and understanding that empowerment does not mean the literal equality to a male's role. This empowerment in itself is why people cannot break down this Muslim identity, because while in the West we have relative morality, we have times that are moving, we have times that are changing, we have society that is changing based upon the morality that's occurring with the people. Islam refuses. Islam places down the barometer of what is acceptable. the morality of what is acceptable. And this morality is perfectly demonstrated by the role models of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Therefore, Lady Fatima Masuma, when she put forward her social revolution and she sacrificed every aspect of her life when she stood up and she left her home in Medina to visit the Imam of her time, do you think she didn't know that she wouldn't go see him in the end? Do you think she did not know that her eyes would not meet the Imam of her time? Do you think she didn't know that she wasn't going to go to that final resting place of her Imam? Do you think she didn't know or wasn't told in beforehand that she was going to be poisoned? Do you think she didn't know that the caravan was going to be looted? Do you think Zainab didn't know that Imam Hussein alayhi salam would be beheaded and she would see him? Do you think they didn't know that their veils would be removed from their heads? The family of the Prophet and the females of the Prophet, the females of his family, have one thing in common, and it differs from every other female role model that's come before the religion of Islam. It's that when they were told of the atrocities that were going to come towards them, and they were told of the sacrifices that they were going to have to make, and they were told of the commitment and the dedication, and the fact that their life was no longer their own. Their life was a complete commitment and service, whether that was through orphans, whether that was through helping the needy, the charity, the social movements, the education of the systems, helping fellow women. They understood this need to be social movements. And every other female that comes before the religion of Islam were never this powerhouse. Because while they were told beforehand, this is your atrocity, they turned to Allah, and like Sayyidah Zainab does, in her famous line on the Battle of Karbala, she turns around and she puts her hands up in the air and she says to God, "Oh Allah, accept this sacrifice." Because this sacrifice was the only thing on their mind was the acceptance of this sacrifice for them. Therefore, as females, there is so much you can take from the female role models in the religion of Islam. But Lady Fatima Masuma teaches us one thing. Education is timeless. Ignorance is also timeless, and it's costly. She teaches us that moving and having social revolutions in the absence of an imam is crucial for carrying forth his message. She teaches us that to be a role model for the women within your family structures, for the mothers and the daughters, to stand as an example for everybody is crucial. And she teaches us that when you are in absence or in the presence of an imam, share the shoulder and share the burden that he carries. Before you sleep at night, don't sleep with a restful heart until you've prayed that his heart is safe. And when you are going to sleep and you're closing your eyes and you've had a stomach full with the food and the blessings of your family, wonder to yourself, has the Imam of my time also encountered this? The relationship with the Imam of the time and the support that a female can give to the Imam of the time is something that nobody else can take and nobody else can do like the females can. And for the brothers, it's vital to understand that the female role is only supported by your support. And the females, including your daughters and your wives and the women, no one's telling you to stand up on a pulpit and give a speech. Not everybody agrees with that. No one's telling you go and start a campaign on heritage. Not everybody wants to do that. But within your own capacity, know yourself, which is why Amir al-Mu'mineen says, the one who is ignorant of himself is ignorant of his Lord. To know yourself is to know your duty. To know your spiritual duties is to know your social duties. And in light of this, I'd like to end with one quote from Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam, as I've already mentioned. May Allah never deprive us of the mercy of understanding the status of the female role models of the Ahlul Bayt, and particularly Lady Fatima Masuma, because through her we understand everything that it is that we wish to stand for today, beyond just the forced veil, beyond the oppression of the female, and beyond the constrictions placed upon us by the perceptions of others. Please recite a loud salawat in honor of the females who've organized this event today and dedicated time in order to emulate the example of role models like Lady Fatima Masuma. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.